Christian Audio presents The Zombie Gospel, The Walking Dead, and What It Means to Be Human by Danielle Strickland. Narrated by Rachel Fulginiti. Dedicated to Lieutenant Colonel Joyce Ellery, who loved me as a zombie and introduced me to the cure. And to all those who, like her, never give up hope, offering Jesus as the way to be human. You are living witnesses of God's resurrection power in real life. Introduction. For a long time, I considered zombie shows a colossal waste of time and energy, and evidence of a dark and sinister reality threatening our common sense of goodness. I suspected it was yet another fascination with darkness that could desensitize us to the foreboding realities of everyday darkness. At least, that's what I thought. I continued to be amazed at the rising popularity of zombie shows, but once I got past my initial contempt, I gave in to curiosity. Tucked up by myself so as not to contaminate anyone else, in the late evening hours after my kids had gone to bed, I put in earbuds and watched The Walking Dead, trying to get a grasp on why this show is so prevalent in our culture. What happened was amazing. I glimpsed a realm of media communicating some of the deepest themes of humanity. I became increasingly convinced, as I watched with wide-eyed wonder, that far from an excessive dark fantasy feeding a lackadaisical attitude toward evil, the show offers us a window into the most important questions of our time. Really? You may be wondering. I understand. I was decidedly dubious myself. You might think that shows like The Walking Dead are simply the latest entertainment to satisfy our shallow culture's need for the latest thrill. But as I watched, I learned. I heard a cry, a warning, an invitation. The whole story seems to be a way into another realm with more questions than answers. But the questions are like answers because they are important questions, elemental and existential at the same time. It felt like the gospel, which simply means good news. But more than a happy little announcement that makes for a hallmark moment, the gospel is a pronouncement that important news is coming, more like the rumor of an uprising or the birth of a new king. Think overthrow. The good news is now mostly associated with the Christian faith, but when the founder of that faith, Jesus, came on the scene, the backdrop was pretty dismal. Things were unhinged. The tension was palpable. Against this backdrop, Jesus declared that he had come to bring good news. Contrary to popular opinion, the good news wasn't delivered by a fairy godmother like Jesus who granted our wishes and promised we'd live happily ever after. Many of us don't have a clue of what good news means. We forget, at our peril, that Jesus called for a new humanity and the end of an old one. He challenged a system based on greed, exposed religious folks as frauds, and announced a new world order. If anyone had a way of creating havoc, it was Jesus. There was nothing neat about the ministry he led or the results it produced. The early church followed in his footsteps, confounding the wise, exposing corruption, and refusing to cooperate with existing powers. They paid for this good news with their lives. But it was worth it. The results? Social inclusion, poverty relief, wealth redistribution, public mercy, think social services, and eventually hospitals and schools. This is good news. It changes things. Everything, actually. The real gospel has been co-opted by a religious fairy tale for so long that, for many of us, it's lost its power. The gospel has been hijacked to support and encourage a personal relationship at the expense of community overthrow. But even more, it's created a vacuum in the middle of our society. And into the vacuum have disappeared meaning, authentic relationships, and hope. We've been living among shallow and inconsequential things for so long that we've forgotten what it means to be human. Are love and pornography related?
Sample complete. Ready to continue?